Hello, my darlings, it's Chanel. Please excuse my voice. I am still recovering from a very long illness, but I thought I would do my end of the year tarot tag. So this is a tag I adapted from BookTube many years ago to suit tarot decks and to sort of use as a way to look at the year as a whole in your tarot practice. So I've put the prompts down below. Feel free to join in. This isn't just tarot. This is oracle decks, Lenormand, playing cards, just any sort of cartomancy. So the first question or prompt is deck you loved using the most this year. So for me, those are my little mini oracles, the Details and Notice Oracle. This one is the Details Oracle, and I am obsessed with them. I love using them as a pull at the end of the day card. So it's on my bedside table. So every month I swap it out. One month I do Details, one month I do the Notice Oracle instead. And it's just zoomed in images on found art. So I looked at all of the public domain artworks and I would zoom in on a particular piece of the whole, and then I wrote some keywords to go with it, a little sentence, and I've got the painting down below. But yeah, this is just a deck I like to close my day out with. I really enjoy it. I absolutely love found art. It's a beautiful way to end my day by looking at the art that was created sometimes hundreds of years ago by human beings that no longer exist. And sometimes it'll be just a keyword that calls out to me, or sometimes it's the image itself, the image that resonates, or it's the sentence. So there's lots of different ways my attention can be pulled to certain aspects in this little deck. I love pocket-sized decks as well. It's just really fun, and it's also color therapy as well, a little bit too. So yeah, these decks have just been a delight to use. It feels weird I'm talking about a deck I made, but it was just something that I really enjoyed adding into my practice, into my collection. There's still so many beautiful artworks that I didn't include in these two decks, but like I said, I am done making these. I think 2 decks is more than enough. But yeah, I use these every single day. So these are daily decks for me. Because I have 2 of them, I swap them out every month so I don't get sick and tired of the same decks. But this was what's this one called again? This one was the Details Oracle. The next prompt is, what is the most recent addition to your collection? So for me, that was the Fairy Tale Oracle. So that is the guidebook. These are the backs. So this is a deck by Broccoli Mag. I, at the moment, only have one other, and that is the Mushroom Oracle. I've been waiting to get a different one because the, shipping to Australia and like US dollars is expensive. So these decks end up being expensive for me, but I'm pretty sure if you're American, they're quite affordable in regards to, independent decks or non-mass market decks go. But I was waiting till there was one that really called to me and that was not too similar to the Mushroom one. And this one spoke to me because I love fairy tales and I liked how they split the 3 categories in regards to fairy tales. I will say though, I don't love this style that is in here a bit, this very just sort of geometrical, just cut paste. It's not, the collage isn't as, I like this style collage more. In some of the images, the collage just isn't as, what's the word I'm looking for, homogeneous. It's very like, almost like a quilt. It's patchwork. Whereas this is like more like the old school style that they used to do, where it's sort of integrated into the image more. You'll have something in the forefront, and then they'll have it on a different background. So like these is a more the old style, whereas this one, as you can see, with this sort of square pattern, I don't like as much. I don't like that style as much. But yeah, this deck has a lot of berries, which I do love. That's why it also called to me, but it was mostly the theme. I was waiting for a theme I really, really liked. But yeah, I'm not loving this one as much as I do the Mushroom Oracle. I almost never use the guidebook. Just the way that they write up things makes it muddies the meaning for me. It actually makes it more confusing for me to understand what they're saying. Like let's do one apple. Okay, so this one, knowledge, transcendence, abundance. I will just use the keywords normally, and if there's something in the imagery, I'll use that as well. So let's read the write-up for apple. The firebird swoops over the orchard walls to steal a golden apple. A coveted treasure, a fruit of immortality. The sorcerer offers a taste of red-cheeked apple, wholesome seeming but hiding venom inside. Golden or red, apples are orbs of temptation. But desire doesn't only lead to downfall. Someone has to take the first bite. So look, it's not like it's indecipherable, but sometimes in relation to a reading I'm doing, it just sometimes doesn't work. So it depends on, if I'm doing a single card pull, then yeah, I'll read the guidebook. But most of the time, I just stick with the keywords here. So this was the most recent edition, but yeah, I'm not super in love with this one. It's also why I haven't made it a bag, because I'm not sure if I'm keeping it yet. And the backs don't really do anything for me. I don't really like the backs, but this was the Fairy Tale Oracle. Next, we have a deck that isn't your usual style, but you're vibing with it. So I also wanted to mention once again, this doesn't have to just be decks that you purchase this year or decks that were released this year. This can be older decks in whatever, way that means to you. So you can make these prompts fit you and your practice and your collection. So for me, it is the Hollow Valley Deck of Symbols by Erin Elise. This is the guidebook, which I do love. So you've got like an upright and reversed meaning, and then about the card, and then about the associations that are on the card. So this isn't my usual style because I'm not really into black and white. That is not something that I'm drawn to, and especially not more minimalist style line work, artwork like this deck. But yet in this deck, it works for me. So I'm not sure why. But this is the only sort of black and white line work deck like this, minimalist, lots of white space, not like a usable keyword, because like owl, what is owl? You know what I mean? Like it doesn't actually have an actionable keyword on there. It's just literally telling you what's on the picture window, So there's a lot of reasons why this isn't my usual style, and yet it still has stayed through every cull, because whenever I do read with it, it's just a really good reader for me, and I find it accurate and it hits. Like I said, I do like the guidebook. If this did not have a good guidebook, I probably wouldn't keep it if this was, all I was going on. But the guidebook does also really work for me. So yeah, this isn't my usual style, but this deck has earned its place in my collection. Okay, the next prompt is a favorite deck pairing. So it's just a pairing of decks that you like together. So I've chosen the Slow Tarot with the Mushroom Oracle by Broccoli Mag once again. I like these two because they've got a more serious, I don't want to say melancholic, but a bit of a somber vibe. They're both, I'm trying to think how I describe the energy of these two decks. It's not dense, but it does contain depth. It's more vegetal, forest floor that at first glance just seems like it's, full of detritus and decay, but is actually teeming with life and dozens of microorganisms. Like both of the decks give more than what's on the surface level, so to speak. They are a bit more shadowy to me. They're a bit more on the vice rather than the virtue. They've got an old school fairy tale vibe to them. So like think Brothers Grimm or the original Hans Christian Andersen, the fairy tales that had shadow and edge and bite. But yeah, I like this pairing because I just think they're beautiful together. So that was the Slow Tarot and the Mushroom Oracle. The next prompt is Divination accessories. So this can be dice, journals, altar items, deck mods, bags, cloths, just any accessory bought or made that has to do with divination practices. So I've chosen one of my bags because, as you guys know, I crochet tarot and oracle deck bags, and I just picked one with a deck that I haven't showed you yet because I was pretty happy with how I ended up color matching this. This is the Alchemy of Spirit Oracle deck. It's a very sweet pastel cartoony one. This is also one that I would put under isn't my usual style, but I ended up vibing with this one as I found this year I was in need of more light-hearted decks, warmer, cheerful, gentle, inner childlike ones. Like this one has a cat in almost every photo, and just that little detail really endeared it to me. There's also a similar art style throughout, so it's a bit more homogenous, so it's not so shocking or confronting or overstimulating. This is a low stimulation deck for me with its, more, like I said, subdued pastel, limited color palette, but there's so many rainbows. Even the what you would call the darker cards don't feel dark in here because of the way that they're portrayed and illustrated. But yeah, I made this deck to go with this bag, and I just thought it was a really lovely color match, and that's why I'm showing it to you as part of my deck modifications prompt. Okay, the next prompt is a great card back. So it is what it says it is, which just show us a back of a card that you really like. So for this one, I've gone with Amethyst Ascension's Witchy Wisdom Oracle. So as you guys know, I said it many times that I don't really purchase AI art decks, but this is a deck made by a friend of mine, and I really wanted to support her by purchasing one of her decks. And I was looking through all of them, and this is the one that I instantly gravitated towards because these backs are me all over. Like, I love the very magical but moody color scheme. It's giving like dark cottage core. It's a cup of tea with mushrooms and flowers. I mean, it's very cozy, but like I said, still witchy and magical and whimsical, and I just like the overall color scheme of the deck. And even though it is AI art, I don't mind these images at all. I think they're very pretty. So yeah, this is the one I picked to lend my support to my beautiful friend, and I think it's adorable. This also comes with a guidebook now. So Rochelle's released a guidebook. So if you're in Australia, you can't get the physical guidebook, unfortunately, but you can get the it's not an ebook, the PDF version of the guidebook. So it expands upon the messages, but this is one like I feel like you can just use based with the little sentence that's down the bottom. But yes, I absolutely love these backs, and that's my choice for great deck backs. The next prompt is pick a deck with a theme that you like. So it's just a theme you like in general, and I had to go with Beetlejuice. I hate this guidebook though. Like, who decided this is a good way to do a guidebook? Like, I try not to use it because this is going to absolutely not wear well with time, but this is just absolute trash. Please never ever do this accordion style guidebook again. But let's look at this deck as a theme. So those are the backs. I think the backs are great. It's got that cartoon vibe, although this feels a bit Jack Skellington to me. I edged mine in black and green because that is like the quintessential Beetlejuice colors. I normally have not gone for any of these themed decks in the past because I just didn't feel like they were done super well. But this one is fully illustrated, which is something I absolutely have to have. I can't stand pips, especially if it's a themed deck. Obviously, there are some images that are very same, as you saw with those two back to back. But otherwise, I was pretty happy with the depictions, as in the pictures that they chose for the card and the energy of the card. I liked the borders, even though I'm not really a big border person. I think it works with this particular deck. I like the color scheme. It's very moody, but yeah, as you can see, there are some that are a bit similar, but out of all of the theme decks I've seen so far that are mass market, I was pretty happy with this one. And look, I am a huge Beetlejuice fan, and I wanted something that represented that fandom. So I went with this one. Obviously, if there's a deck that comes along at a later date that I think is better, I might, let this one go. But for now, it filled the spot that I wanted when I was going through the, Beetlejuice resurgence, and I wanted something to play with that mimicked that energy. So yeah, for a great theme, the Beetlejuice Tarot. The next prompt is what is one of the most beautiful decks this year. I'm excluding doing any of my own decks for any of the prompts, except for obviously the first one. So not including my decks, I have chosen the Dream Song Oracle. So these are the backs. I love foxes. I have a skulk of foxes that visit my property every single night. And whenever they come and set off the cameras, I like to watch them. I've got like a pair that comes and then some other members of their family. And they're so bloody cute. And yeah, I was umming and ahhing about this deck for ages because, as you know, I'm on a low buy, and so I really try not to buy anything, especially mass market. If I'm going to buy a deck, I normally save that slot for an independent deck. But I saw this so many times, on so many channels, and every time it always caught my attention. I was like, oh, it's so pretty. I love the very sort of surreal fairy tale like imagery in here. It's got a darker energy. Once again, look, dark fairy tales always suckers me in. I liked the keywords that were on here. I will say though, I don't love the guidebook for whatever reason. I don't know why, but I do love, I especially love the dandelion one there. I love the imagery on here, and it's got that like that right amount of creepy and whimsical to me, and a bit folk arty as well. But this was a deck that I just ended up having to get because I just loved the artwork, and I thought it was, yeah, it was stunning. So my pick for one of the most beautiful decks that I got this year is the Dream Song Oracle. The next prompt is a deck you wish existed, or a unicorn deck you want, or an out of print deck you want. So I'll answer like sort of both versions of this. So a deck that I wish existed, Fifth Element. I think that would be a really fun deck. I think there's enough in the movie to illustrate a full tarot deck. And yeah, it's just one of my favorite sci-fi movies of all time. It's very, very quotable. There's just scenes that live rent-free in my head, and I would love to, yeah, play with it, especially to have a Ruby Rod character card and to see who they chose as who. But yeah, I love that deck, and I wish it existed. A deck that I would really like is the Mother Witch Tarot. This is just a price point thing for me. It is just very, very expensive. I think it's well over $200 Australian to get a copy, and that's just, it's above my limit. My hard limit is $200, and it's more than that. So I just haven't been able to cough up the cash to get that one, but it's, you know, it's on the list one day if my finances change or whatever. Or, you know, for my birthday next year, I always allow myself one expensive deck for my birthday. I might be able to get that one. And an out of print deck that I really like is it Heroine? It's the fashion tarot with all the ladies and their fantastic fashion. I think it's gorgeous. So those are 3 decks that I wish I had. The next question is, which card sums up this year as a whole, or a card whose energy you want to bring in? So once again, I'll do both. So for me, I feel like this year, let me get a deck to flip through while I talk about it. Okay, so I think this is a 78 mini animal, I think, perhaps. This is one of Indy's decks. So for me, if I had to pick a card that summed up this year as a whole for me, it would be the Tower card. Everything that I guess could no longer hold weight collapsed. Everything that I thought was solid, fractured, and I feel like it has been a necessary destruction and demolition. It's uncomfortable, but necessary endings. So there were a lot of other things obviously as well. I had 2 deaths in the family this year, and some health issues and financial issues, and like literally those structural issues. So I was in a car accident, and my house has had been in need of severe repairs. So quite literally my foundations were crumbling and needed repair. But with the Tower, the reason I feel like it's a tower is because I feel like it's caused me to stop, like it's even culminated, ended in an illness. This year has been bookended by an illness that took me out for over 2 weeks and that I'm still recovering from. It's forced me to stop and take a look at my life and to realize it's not sustainable. I thought I was, you know, holding everything together, but I really wasn't. And sometimes you have to let go. You have to jump ship. There comes a point where things aren't salvageable, and it is better just to let it fall apart and to rebuild from scratch. There's a need for a better foundation, one that is more aligned, one that is more true to your life now, and that isn't propped up by the fear or the routines of your past self. That, you know, whole sort of thing, an invitation, if you will, of what do you want to build now that you're no longer trapped within your old structure? You know, completely clean slate it. Let's create a new vision. Let's create a new path, and let's start again. Go back to square one. Pick a different adventure, a different path to go down. So yeah, this year was hard. It's tough, you know, the challenges and stress that come along with a tower moment, with the fear of having to let go and watching it all fall down, this life that you've built for yourself brick by brick, and having to accept that it just wasn't serving you anymore and you have outgrown this particular tower and it's time to create a different one. So yeah, that was very difficult. And then the next part of this prompt is, what energy do you want to bring in to the next year? So I'd have to go with, you know, consecutively and say the Star card. I need hope, and I need gentleness, and I need healing, and I need to no longer be in a state of stress and crisis mode. You know, I want a flow now that feels effortless. I want to feel like I'm being refilled from a source that perhaps had run dry, but I just needed to pour from a different vessel. I want renewal in all aspects of my life. I would like some more, I guess, opportunities to come my way now that are aligned with the version of myself that now exists, that hopefully is no longer shaped by fear or survival mode. And I don't know, I want some cosmic reassurance, okay, that this was all necessary and it was not for naught, and that I have maybe a star in the sky now to guide me so that, you know, I don't feel lost. But yeah, I guess I want the star so that I can sort of remember who I am when I'm not standing in the rubble, so to speak. So yeah, synchronicities would be nice. A softness, like I said, I need that nurturing, clarity over chaos, and just this trust in a slow and steady rebuild. So, you know, reconnection, inspiration, and belief in what my future has to bring. Because now that the dust has settled, I can finally see the horizon. So that's my answer for that. Okay, the next prompt is tarot practice reflection. So this is just a reflection on your tarot practice in general. So I will flip through the loaf tarot while I talk about my tarot practice. Man, that's been dinged up hardcore. This is another one of Indy's decks. I'm just borrowing her decks because I don't really see much play on my channel. So my practice has changed quite a lot. So the way it currently stands is with tarot, I tend to only now do a month ahead reading. So I'll show you, you know what, I'll show you exactly what I got for the month of November, and we'll reflect upon it. Okay, so I'll use the actual deck that I use for a month ahead. So this is my Halcyon tarot deck. And so the cards I pull, so what I do is at the start of the month, I pull 4 cards as my month ahead reading. So I'll pull it at the start, I'll sit and think what I think it might mean, and then I reflect on it back at the end of the month. So now that I've gone through the month of November, I have a different view of how I think this correlated to me. So I started with the 4 of Wands. So for me, sometimes I look at it as a whole, sometimes I look at it as a progression. So like week 1, 2, 3, 4, sort of, so to speak. It doesn't always work so linear in time that way, but sometimes it does. So 4 of Wands was a good start to the month with a celebration. And I did have my 40th birthday. So it was very much a milestone was reached because I had my party in the first week of November. It was a beautiful, supportive relationship. I was surrounded by all of my friends and family. And it was a moment where I felt seen and celebrated and loved and safe. So for me, it was very much a joyous start to the month, of which I am thankful. And then we've got the Fool. So this was after, you know, the celebrations and everything comes something new, a new path to take, a clean slate energy, the playfulness, possibility, stepping into a new chapter. And that's what it was. I turned 40. This is now a new decade of my life. And it's a big sitting down and thinking moment for me. Like, how do I want to start my 40s? Who do I want to become in this decade, in this era of my life? Who is, you know, this version of Chanel at this age? And what does she want to evolve into? What does she want to experience? So it was a full moment. It was a new beginning. All right, let's let's brainstorm, let's think about it, let's have some intention going into this new decade of my life. Just because I've been this way in the past doesn't mean I have to continue to be that way. You know, I'm very much not beholden to who I was. I'm always very fluid and willing to change, I guess, and grow. So that was apt for me as well. And then we go into justice. So, sorry, no, it wasn't. It was this way. This was the ending. I remember now. Eight of Swords was next. I remember, obviously, when I first pulled that, I thought, okay, this is more mentality to me. Eight of Swords is more a mental structure. It's sort of, you know, the phrase, whether you think you can or you can't, you're always right. So it's about, you know, self-doubt, mental looping, feeling stuck, and the fear of choosing wrong. I had a lot of choices to make this month regarding a lot of things that had happened that I needed to, solve and repair and fix. And I was feeling overwhelmed. And when I saw this card, I thought, okay, maybe I don't have to make all the decisions this month. Maybe I just focus on what is the most pressing, deal with that, and I save the others for when I'm not so frazzled and overwhelmed and just, you know, overburdened. Because I can, like I said, get into negative thought processes and spirals, and it's that fear of like, I haven't chosen right. Like, for instance, with my flooding issues, a lot of it has been due to the gutters, which I had gotten fixed years ago, and obviously I chose the wrong people because everyone that's come has said that the gutters are not up to code. Whoever did them very incorrectly, and they're the reason why I now have extensive damage throughout my house. So obviously the fear of choosing wrong again, like what if I don't choose the right people again? What do I do? What do I fix? What do I not fix? What do I, you know, relegate to later on once I've, you know, saved up the money? It was a lot of things, and I thought, Chanel, no, you don't need to deal with it right now. Yes, it's an annoying issue, but if this is too overwhelming and you've got too much fear and mental anguish around it, and like I said, self-doubt and uncertainness and worry or whatever, don't worry. Don't worry about that right now. Focus on one thing at a time. Same thing with my health. My doctors wanted me to do a lot more tests and to start treatments, and I was like, you know what? I can't right now. Let's focus on getting my car fixed. I need a safe car. It's been going on for 4 months. I need to put this to rest. So that's what I did. I was like, let's just one thing. Everything else can wait. Right now, just do one thing, get it done, rest, breathe. So that was my Eight of Swords. And then it ended with the Justice card. So Justice card is balance. It can be balance restored because it's got the scales there as well. Also, it can be fairness, or a decision is made and maybe a karmic correction is on the horizon. So for me, when I decided, okay, I'm going to focus on getting my car fixed, this is very much heavily into that. Like I said, it's finally a decision is made. Things have been fixed. My car has been done. I had to let go of the injustice of it, the unfairness of it, the sense of having been wronged because, like I said, this man smashed into the back of my car on the freeway. I was not at fault whatsoever. And the whole situation was awful. He was abusive, everything else. But I ended up in this situation where everyone around me couldn't believe it happened. But even though he smashed into me, I had videos of him behind me and the damage. His insurance agency refused to pay for my damages because I said I didn't have any dash cam footage or witness statements. And he was saying that I had swerved into his lane, which was not true. And because of that, they were not going to pay for my damage. So I would have to go through my own insurance agency and make my own claim and pay for it. And it was just a very upsetting thing because obviously this man is literally committing insurance fraud and perjury. And I'd never been in an accident before. I didn't think to take video of all of this surrounding traffic or to get my dash cam footage off immediately before it overrode itself. I didn't know that it overwrites every 3 days. So it was gone. And I didn't think to, like I said, if taking video of the surrounding traffic, I would have had other people's number plates and they could have been witnesses, but I just didn't think to do that. And it ended up, like I said, going on for 4 months. And they told me my only option was to take him to small claims court myself. And it's just, no, I thought, no, I'm just going to accept that this is what it is. Sometimes justice isn't served, unfortunately, and I just have to make peace with that and move on. Like I said, I hope karma is real and this dude, you know, gets what's coming to him to... But anyway, this signified the end of this legal battle, so to speak, and it's now closing a chapter and then stepping into the next one with integrity. Like I you know what I mean? I did the right thing. I was trying to do the right thing, and I was aligned with my personal values and morals and sought justice. Unfortunately, didn't get it, but that's the way it happened. So this is what I do now, instead of, because I don't like using tarot every day. It's too much for me. It could be just because, like I said, I was going through a very stressful time in my life. But I found personally just having tarot be a month ahead reading and then only checking back into it at the end of the month works for me. I will pull out tarot if there is something particular, like a certain situation that is pressing and I want guidance on that particular situation. But otherwise, in terms of, you know, energies of the day ahead or energies of the month or what do I need to know, that kind of stuff, I'm not using it. At the moment, I'm not in the need of like doing personal work, shadow work. Like if I felt like I had to do that, there was something that was triggering me or whatever, I would probably pull out my tarot again. But just using it as the month ahead reading works for me. Obviously, if I get any new decks in, I will work with those decks. So if I get a new tarot deck in, I will find an oracle to pair with it. I almost never use a deck on its own. I like to find a pairing for it, and I will use those. Because I didn't have a new deck come in this month, I didn't do that. But what else do? I pull an oracle card for the month. So along with my tarot card pull for the month ahead, so the 4 tarot cards, I also choose one deck to go with that tarot deck. This month I chose evidence-based magic oracle because I felt like it went really well with my Halcyon tarot. So I had my 4 card spread and then I had this oracle card to sort of anchor it and clarify it. So the card was kintsugi. So I used the energy of the word. So kintsugi is a Japanese practice where they repair broken items with gold. And it's sort of, it is the understanding and the appreciation that what has been fractured in the past is still a source of beauty. And in a way, it's almost stronger from being repaired with gold in the seams. So I would use the meaning of this whilst also looking at the other 4 cards. Like for instance, with the 8 of Swords card. The kintsugi sort of changed my view on that a little bit as well, and was like, your fears created the cracks in your cup, but the light is trying to fill it in. You're not broken, you're not damaged, you're not backsliding, you're integrating, you're reforming and becoming something stronger, something better. So yeah, I've enjoyed doing the 4 card tarot spread paired with 1 oracle card to go with it. I also still pull a Spirit Cats card for every month. So I consider these to be my familiars. And I got my familiar down the bottom right now, Miss Bluebell, which you would have heard her. So I pull a familiar for the month, and the energy is what I sort of see as protecting me or blessing me. I see these as blessings. A blessing for the month from my familiar. I know that these cards have been redone and she's now written them up in a way that is a bit more oracle divination card friendly, whereas these are not so clear-cut divinatory meanings. I see them more as just messages of love. And so yeah, so every month I get a new kitty. So let's see who my kitty's going to be for the month of December. Oh, okay. I've gotten this kitty quite a lot. It is very Harry Potter coded. 1 small magical step. So meet Glimfeather Practicum, slayer of the overwhelm. Leaving the intricacies of his sacred path to spirit, he focuses on what is right before him. He riffles through his grimoire, brimming with simple practical magic until his intuition points to that one little action with the power to shift something big. What small step is calling to you right now? Meditating with a crystal, touching a tree, lighting a candle, dancing to your favorite music, or even just taking a few deep breaths. Trust in the magical unfolding that will spring from this one simple action. So this is my buddy, Glimfeather for the month. I then choose 2 words of the month because I am a logophile and I like to have words, and I believe words hold power, you know, the whole spelling thing. And so I use 2 decks. This is the Sovereign Oracle. This is my, what did I call this? Concordance Oracle. So this one was sort of meant to be around like business focus, but I do work. So sometimes I use this one in regards to my day trading or my businesses, my Etsy store, you know, all of that sort of stuff. And then this one is a more general divinatory theme or practice for that month. So I got embodiment this month. Appreciate the opportunities inherent in being on the planet. Stand in your own affinity for yourself, then act. Allow your potency to vibrate. The situation may shift in reply. So sometimes I am drawn to one of the sentences, and that's the one that I will go for. And then I got cave. Darkness shelters, retreat for renewal, mystery waits within. So as I said, I'm still recovering from an illness. So I was forced into the cave earlier than the start of this month, but it has reminded me that sometimes I do need to retreat for renewal, and I need to have that time in solitude and peace and free from clutter and distraction. Like when I was sick for the first 3 days, I couldn't even watch or read or listen to anything. It had to be complete darkness and silence. So I was quite literally made myself a cave and hibernated in it. But I like to have 2 words. Like I said, I normally use this deck in regards to my work, and I use this in regards to my personal life and spiritual practice, yada yada. In terms of our monthly practice too, I am also still pulling 1 oracle card each from these 2 decks. So this deck is the 21st Century Bellini, and this is the Begin Oracle. So these are my big decks, and I like to pull 1 card for the month. So we've got family, so this has multiple meanings, and then we've got depths. So I journal at the start of the month when I pull my 4 tarots, my 1 oracle, these 2 oracles as well, and the keywords. I sit there and just do a big, what's the word? A big journal about it all. Besides that, I still have my other practices. So I use Lenormand. This is the Sparkle Lenormand. So at the start of every week, oh no, what is that? Is that a pen mark? It is. Oh goodness. At the start of the week, I pull 2 Lenormand cards to do as an energy reading for the week. Like what's the energy of this week? So with Lenormand, the meanings differ based upon the pairings. And I still go on the internet to see other people's interpretations because they're so wildly different. There is no clear, concise heart and clouds equals this. Everyone's got their own opinion of what that pairing means. And like I said, sometimes I do like to go outside of my own perspective and see what other people have come up with, because sometimes that just really resonates more with me and I just find it fun. So at the start of every week, I will do a 2-card spread of what's the week ahead. Even though this still has negative kind of vibes with it, as in some of the cards are not great, like the mice one, it generally means like sickness and illness. I find it less intense than tarot, because even with a negative card, whatever, sometimes the combination still, you can kind of skew it positive in a way, you know, like the medicine, the honey, like the sugar in the medicine to help it go down better. So I love, and this is such a fun, inner child, lighthearted interpretation of the cards. See, like even that card, like look at that. You can't feel fear when you look at that card. So yes, I start each week off with this. Another weekly deck that I use is my self-care oracle. So at the start of the week, I'll just say what is going to be most beneficial for me this week in terms of self-care. So I also use this at the start of the week when I'm doing my little Lenormand pull for the energy of the week ahead. I also check in to see, hey, what's the best way I can take care of Chanel I wish this week. And this is what I use for that. So along with that, I will choose an oracle deck to use daily, whatever I feel like, you know, for that week. So it's a weekly thing. I'll pick a deck for the week and I pull an oracle card daily, because that's like something I enjoy more. Just a message for the day. What do I need to know today? What do you want to tell me? What can I learn from whatever my daily message is. It might even be like, what's the energy of today? What's the wisdom of the day? But I like just pulling an oracle when I start my day. And my daily is the oracle deck. Like, unless I'm working with a new decks, I'll just have a single oracle deck that I pull daily. And then in the evening, I bust out my notice and my details oracle, and I end the evening with the single card pull from them. So that is my current practice. Like I said, I simplified it. It feels simple for me anyway. Like I said, the first of the month is the heavy work day when I pull the decks out and do the month ahead stuff. But otherwise, my daily and weekly practice is very minimal and easy peasy. And like I said, not overwhelming. It's manageable, and it still gives me structure and guidance and reflection on everything that I'm dealing with in my, human daily life. So that is my current tarot and oracle practice. And like I said, I'm still very low accumulation. I'm happy to continue to be low buy and to keep my collection at a level that is manageable for me. And I feel like I'm still playing with all my decks. I just don't like to own any objects that don't get used. It just doesn't feel right to me. And so, I'm at a point where I've got enough storage space for everything, and I feel like I'm getting to all of the decks that I do have. So that was that prompt. That was a long answer. And the final prompt for this year is pull a card for the new year. So you can either shuffle and pull a card, or purposefully choose a card for the new year, or a deck you want to use next year. So you can show a deck that you really want to work with next year. So like I said, I'll do both again. This is the Cosmic Pearl Oracle. So I want to work with this deck. I'm just feeling very called to beautiful, gentle, watery, emotional Venusian decks to end the year, but also to go into the new year with, because my word this year was Venusian. So I kind of want to do a bit of a handover of the year by handing over my word, because my new word is a word that I generally find in January. A word will come to me as my word of that year. So I haven't obviously found it yet. So I'm going to pull a card. So I prefer to pull Oracle for the year ahead. I don't like, it's not that I am influencing the energy of the year, but sometimes I feel that way with tarot. If I pull a negative card, like I pull the Three of Swords or something, I feel like it taints, not that it taints, but it puts me in a bit, it influences my perspective and my energy and how I view the lens through which I view then the year, so I don't want anything darkening or putting a darker filter on the new year for me that is fresh and untainted and a clean slate. So I prefer Oracle cards, because even though they might have a bit more of a shadowy message, so to speak, generally, depending on the Oracle deck, obviously, they're more hopeful and optimistic. And I like to start every year hopeful and optimistic, guys. I always think this is going to be the best year of my life. Like, sometimes it does not turn out that way. I think it has not turned out that way since 2020, let's face it. But, you never know. Like, the wheel of fortune be turning, and things can shift and change. So let's pull a card for the new year. Ooh. We have Crystalline Blessings, Activation, Rainbow Energy, Awaken. I'm feeling very called to pearls lately as well. I've been wanting to get some more pearl jewelry. Obviously, I would love real, but fake is fine too. So let's read my message for my new year. This is a Rainbow Energy Activation card. Rainbows signify new beginnings, fresh new energy and blessings to come. This card is infused with soul-igniting energetics. The codes within you are wanting to resurface. An awakening is coming forth, a soul's remembrance. This information will come through clear and crystalline encoded. Weavings of the divine flow through you and wash away all that no longer is meant to stay. Rainbow energy is the highest frequency made up of source frequencies. It's time to open your energy up, allow and welcome in these profound awakenings, and say yes to not just getting by. Your angels are calling you into something higher. You're meant for more. It's time to rise, sister. It's time to see through the illusions and awaken to your true power. Send me a rainbow whenever I'm lost. I'll follow its colors. I'll expand at all costs. I'll welcome its blessings. I'll act on its guidance. I'll lay in the grass and admire it in silence. I'll acknowledge its signs. I'll say yes to my heart. I'll follow the whispers that suggest where to start. And so it's got also an activating practice that involves a clear quartz on your crown chakra. So that is my message, my guidance, my energy for the new year for 2026. That's everything for this end of year tarot tag, guys. Until next time, stay wild, Star Child.